The best Harvard students gave up. Then a black scholarship girl raised her hand. What happened next shocked the entire classroom. In one of the most prestigious lecture halls at Harvard University, silence filled the room. The brightest students from wealthy families, dressed in designer clothes and carrying the confidence of generations of privilege, had just given up. On the board, written in sharp white chalk, was a task that looked more like an impossible riddle than an academic exercise. Mathematically model the impact of racial inequality on American economic growth over the last 50 years. Include social, political, and historical variables. Deadline, 72 hours. Reward, joint publication in an international journal. The students stared at the equation-filled board as if it were a death sentence. One by one, chairs screeched against the floor as the elite of Harvard walked out. Bradley Worthington IV, heir to a Wall Street dynasty, laughed arrogantly as he packed his L. My father paid $200,000 so I wouldn't have to waste time on social experiments like this, he scoffed. Who really cares about inequality? Amanda Lee, daughter of a diplomat and straight-A perfectionist, shook her head. It's too risky. If we fail, our GPA gets destroyed. This isn't worth it. Within minutes, the 40-seat classroom was almost empty. Only 3 people remained. Professor Richard Williams, the intimidating 55-year-old economist who had taught the children of America's richest for 3 decades. Daniel Clark, his teaching assistant, busy shuffling papers. And Maya Johnson, a 20-year-old scholarship student from Detroit, the daughter of a hospital janitor. Maya's hands, rough from summers spent working in a textile factory, clutched the same worn pencil she'd used all through high school. Where others saw only impossible equations, she saw pieces of her life hidden inside the numbers. She raised her hand. Professor Williams, I'd like to try. The room froze. Williams' eyes narrowed with disbelief, almost pity. Miss Johnson, this is a doctoral-level challenge. Perhaps you should focus on more basic material. With all due respect, Maya replied firmly, you said whoever solves it gets the reward. You never said there were restrictions. A tense silence filled the hall. Williams finally smirked, his tone cold. Very well. You have 72 hours. No excuses, no extensions. Maya copied the variables quickly. As she studied them, her sharp eyes noticed something her classmates had missed. A subtle reference to community resilience factors buried within the formulas. That clue lit a fire in her mind. She didn't know it yet, but this challenge would not only test her intellect, it would shake Harvard's very definition of academic excellence. 24 hours later, news spread across campus like wildfire. The scholarship girl had accepted the impossible challenge. In exclusive WhatsApp groups, the wealthy mocked her mercilessly. Bradley typed, $50 says she quits by tomorrow. Amanda added, honestly, letting her try is cruel. She'll humiliate herself. While they laughed in their luxury dorms, Maya sat in the library until 3 a.m. Not from desperation, but discipline. She had lived her whole life knowing she had to be 10 times better just to get half the recognition. The clue she saw, resilience factors, wouldn't leave her mind. She whispered her mother's words. When things get hard, we don't break, we bend, we adapt, we survive. Day 2, Professor Williams walked into class with a smug grin. Miss Johnson, he said loudly, I trust you've used this time to reflect on your limitations. There's still time to step down. Maya looked him straight in the eye. No, Professor, I'm continuing. Snickers filled the room. Williams began firing increasingly difficult questions at her, each one laced with a sting. Perhaps this is too advanced for students from public schools. Every insult fueled Maya's determination. She remembered her mother working double shifts. She remembered nights without electricity, studying by candlelight. She remembered every no she'd ever heard. During break, Bradley approached with a sly smile. Look, Maya, why embarrass yourself? You're brave for trying, but you're not cut out for this world. My grandfather was a partner at McKinsey. My father runs a multinational. I grew up around this. You didn't. Maya didn't flinch. You're right, Bradley. I grew up in a world where failure wasn't an option, where underestimating someone is the most costly mistake. And tomorrow, you'll learn that the hard way. Midnight, day 2. Alone in the computer lab, Maya built something extraordinary. She connected socioeconomic data, personal stories from Detroit, and resilience strategies her community used to survive crises. What her classmates called irrelevant anecdotes, Maya transformed into powerful variables. At 5 a.m., her phone buzzed. It was her mother, Shirley, calling before her hospital shift. "Baby, are you holding up?" "I think I'm close to something amazing, Mom," Maya whispered, explaining her model. Shirley chuckled. "Sounds like 2008, while banks were failing, we neighbors shared food and watched each other's kids. Economists never wrote about that, but we lived it." That was the missing piece. Maya realized she wasn't just solving an equation. She was proving that survival strategies from forgotten communities held the key to understanding resilience in economics. An unexpected ally. Later that morning, Professor James Wright, a respected sociologist and son of Mexican immigrants, approached Maya in the library. He placed a coffee cup beside her. "I heard you're working on William's problem. Mind if I see?" For 2 hours, she explained her model. Wright's eyes widened. "Maya, you're not just solving his puzzle. You're rewriting the way we measure economic resilience. This could change everything." Meanwhile, in the elite dorms, Bradley planned a farewell party for Maya's expected failure. "When she crashes tomorrow, at least we'll have a show," he typed in the Harvard elite group. Victoria Ashford, publishing heiress, sneered. "Poor girl's probably crying in the library. Someone should film it when she realizes equality is just a fantasy." What they didn't know was that Maya had access to all their chats. Jason Kim, another scholarship student in computer engineering, had secretly added her. Every cruel message became data, proof of how privilege blinded judgment. The final day. The lecture hall overflowed. Students, professors, even the dean came to watch Maya's public humiliation. Bradley sat in front, smirking. "Get the popcorn. This'll be fun." Professor Williams announced loudly, "Miss Johnson, I hope you found a dignified way to admit your limitations." Maya connected her laptop to the projector. "Actually, Professor, I found something interesting." Her first slide silenced the room. She began with a James Baldwin quote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." Then she unveiled her model, one that turned lived experience into rigorous economic data. "You see, the problem wasn't impossible," she said calmly. "It was just framed with the wrong tools, tools built by people who never needed resilience." Slide after slide exposed flaws in decades of research. She showed how marginalized communities weren't anomalies, but innovation labs of survival. Gasps filled the hall. Even Amanda whispered, "She didn't just solve it, she revolutionized it." Williams interrupted desperately. "Interesting theory, Miss Johnson, but where's your empirical data?" "I'm glad you asked," Maya replied. Jason Kim stood up, projecting screenshots from the Harvard elite chats. "Here's real-time data, evidence of prejudice shaping behavior, decision-making, and blind spots." The room went ice cold. Students squirmed as their own cruel words lit up the screen. Maya turned back. "Your words became my dataset, proof that privilege can create overconfidence while resilience sharpens competence." Professor Wright enters, holding papers. And while Williams mocked her at donor dinners, 2 major journals have already requested her research for review. Williams' face went pale. His authority crumbled in front of the crowd. Maya turned to Bradley. "You said your family dinners taught you economics. Tell me, Bradley, what are the implications of ignoring resilience factors in long-term models? Bradley stammered, his arrogance gone. The room erupted in whispers. Maya smiled softly. Don't worry, sometimes it's hard to recognize excellence when it comes from where you least expect. When Maya finished, the lecture hall was silent, not with pity, but with awe. Her 72-hour journey had done more than solve an impossible problem. She proved that true genius is forged in necessity, not privilege. As the dean approached to shake her hand, Maya whispered to herself, "This is for every kid who was told they didn't belong. We belong everywhere." And that day, Harvard and everyone who witnessed it finally understood. Never underestimate someone who has spent their entire life being underestimated.